Everybody else ready? Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Town of Emmitsburg Town Meeting for July 15th, 2024. Before we begin, we kindly ask that you take a moment to silence your cell phones. This includes turning off notifications, cell phone calls, and any media or gaming sounds. Your cooperation helps us ensure a smooth and respectful meeting. Thank you so much for your understanding. At this time, we invite you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we begin, please note that Commissioner Sweeney hopes to join us at 9 p.m. tonight because he has a prior engagement if the meeting is still in session at that time. And Commissioner Turnquist is unable to attend tonight's meeting. So we have a small group up here. Commissioner O'Donnell, you feel like you're way far away. Are you okay down there?
I shower. I don't want him to take it down. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, future meetings include, thank you. Citizens Advisory Committee meeting is coming up July 16th, which is tomorrow at 7 p.m. in the town office. Planning Commission meeting July 29th, 7 p.m. in the town office and on Zoom. Board of Commissioners meeting August 5th, 2024 at 7 p.m. town office and in Zoom. And there's another one to add, commissioners, Ms. Willits brought to my attention, the National Night Out is coming up on August 6th at 6 p.m. Which isn't a meeting, but it's an event that we all look forward to. And before we move on to meeting minutes, we do, I just wanted to make some brief introductions. We have some new staff. So at this time, I'm going to call them up individually, if that's okay. So I'll start with Ms. Brandy Maloka. If you could come up, she is our newly hired town operations specialist. If you could just introduce yourself so that we can, wait, you have to press the microphone so it's red. There you go.
Hi, everybody. Actually, you guys know me. I'm gonna speak to them.
Okay. But you have to keep your mic on so people online.
Okay.
Here.
I'm Brandy Maloka. I retired after 22 years in Montgomery County Police. It's my third week here, and I'm going to be working with the commissioners and the mayor, quality of life issues, all sorts of projects in the line. Once I get business cards, I'm going to try to be getting them out and speaking to citizens regularly and businesses. And you guys can feel free to reach out to me. And I look forward to working with all of you. And thank you.
Thank you. And we also have Mr. Andrew Young. Here's our newly hired code enforcement officer. Hello.
Hello.
No, wait, you sure not? It was on. I'm sorry. There you go.
Good evening. I'm Andrew Young. Retired from the Frederick County Sheriff's Office over 20 years. I'm happy to be here. I look forward to working with the community in the town.
Thank you. Congratulations to both of you. We know that our town staff was very much in need of some additional hands, and we are ecstatic to be working with you in the future. So thank you so much. I know I put you on the spot. I appreciate it. Okay, moving on to our meeting minutes. I trust you had a chance to review the meeting minutes from July 3rd, 2024. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes as they are written?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3 that are here and 2 that are absent. Do I need to say that Commissioner Sweeney and Commissioner Turnquist are absent? Yes. Okay. All right. Moving on next to the police reports.
Good evening. During the month of June, we used 1 annual day of leave, 1 sick day of leave. We did get a new supervisor to the unit, Corporal Bird. You'll be seeing a good bit of her up in town at why Cole's gone. She'll be filling in for him. We handled the carnival, several events in June, Heritage Days. We had our monthly meeting. We had no fleet issues with our vehicles. We handled 126 calls for service. We had 15 traffic stops. I believe it's Cole that's investigating it, so he'll continue it when he gets back, but the theft of trucks at the Lauder and Sons is under investigation. That's all we have.
Okay, questions or comments? Commissioners?
No.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to our town manager's report. I turn it over to Ms. Willetts.
Good evening. This will be the town manager's report for May of 2024. I'll just highlight some key areas. Related to streets, staff continue to work with the parking meter reps on the new meter project. Staff weed ate and killed sidewalks, curbs, and tree wells on East and West Main Street. And for Fallen Firefighters Weekend and Memorial Day, staff put up banners and flags on the streetlight poles and small flags in the flower beds at the square. Related to park, outside of the daily park checks and maintenance, staff mowed, trimmed, and weed killed, as well as planted 10 small trees by Well J in E. Eugene Myers Park. Related to wastewater, we treated an average of 716,548 gallons and consumed 274,802, which meant 61.65% of the wastewater treated was wild water. We had no spills of untreated sewage. However, we did exceed the plant's design capacity on 13 days in May. We received 4.6 inches of precipitation in May. At the end of May, we had a surplus of 8.79 inches. I will note that it has dropped by the end of June to a 5-inch surplus. Water, related to water, at the time of this report, Rainbow Lake was at 16.6 feet. However, today it finally dropped. It's at 16.5 feet. The roughing filters were being backwashed once, and the DE filters are getting 2-week runs. That's no longer the case either. Well levels on page 13. And just to note that the wells have dropped some since this report. We are keeping an eye on everything. We currently have to do 3 backwashes. Good news, though, the backwash project should begin tomorrow. So that's going to help out tremendously. For water production, we produced an average of 274,823 and consumed an average of 274,802, which meant the backwash water in May was 6.66%. Trash pickup will remain Mondays during the month of July. And then just a few noteworthy items. Staff is working with a consultant on the lead and copper service inventory and GIS. We worked on pulling the drawings to get them to the consultant. At the time of this, as of today, we've only received 35% of our surveys back for lead line service inventory. So if you have not completed yours, please send it in. It will help the town out tremendously in this unfunded state mandate that we have to do. We met with an engineer and contractor for the catwalk bridge replacement at Rainbow Lake. And during hydrant flushing and leak detections, staff determined several fire hydrants that are in need of repair. The parts have been ordered. We're just waiting for them to come in and the repairs will be made. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Commissioner Hoover.
Kathy, I do have one question. The backwashing.
Mhm.
So that's 6.6%, I think it was. Yes,
Mhm.
6.66%. Do we only count the water from Rainbow Lake on that percentage? Because I don't think we're backwashing the wells. Is that correct?
Some of the wells get backwashed.
It does go through the,
Some do.
okay. All right, never mind. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
I think it's just the 2.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Willetts. Okay, moving on to the grant administrator reports.
I spoke to Ms. Shaw today and asked her what she wanted me to highlight, and she basically referred me to page 18. We were just recently we had two newly awarded grants, 24-8 and 24-9. They are both POS DNR grants. And they are, first one's Rainbow Lake Trail improvements to fix the red trail damage from logging and signage to the trails. And then 24-9 is the Myers, E.G. Eugene Myers Community Park improvements to construct a picnic shelter near the ADA playground.
Thank you.
If there's any other questions, I can try to answer them.
That'll be nice because I know that oftentimes parents are looking for a
Yes.
place to sit down, so that'll be a nice place for them to watch the kiddos. I do have one question. Is there, can we go over 24-5 with the parking meters?
Mhm.
And just a quick update on that.
Okay, we are working with the contractor as I believe it's 8, is it 8, 6 or 8? 8 meters that are not complete as of yet. So we are working on the contractor with that to finish the project. The rest of the meters are operating properly. Still, they take coin, credit card, and Park Mobile. I'm hoping to have an update on the remaining 8 by the end of the week.
Okay. Okay. Additional questions, comments for the grant? Nope. Okay, hearing none. We are moving on. Thank you, Ms. Willetts. Oh, actually, speaking of grants, I was going to give it to Maddie, but she wasn't here. If you could pass it along. I keep mentioning, hopefully there's a grant for the parks, Commissioner O'Donnell, that we could do an AAC communication board that goes along with our ADA playground. And it just basically looks, I printed it out. I have some for each of you. It looks a lot better in color. I apologize. I do not have a color printer. This is. And Ms. Willetts, I'll give you one and one for Ms. Shaw. And it just shows some basic core words that kiddos and all of us really use on a daily basis. And it's meant to supplement and enhance those children who don't have a functional communication system yet. And this also echoes what speech language pathologists put in place often for children with autism as they're trying to learn picture symbols or an alternate way to communicate. And this would be a way to but reinforce what they're currently working on. And I think it would go nicely. And on the back, I'll also send it to Ms. Shaw, just a couple different ideas of where you can buy them pre-made if she does happen to find a grant that that works for something like that. So that way you can see exactly what it looks like.
I actually think the Community Parks and Playground Grant is open and I think the deadline's in August, so this would be perfect timing.
Oh, good. Oh, perfect. Okay. And if there is, if she would like to collaborate, this is what I do during my day job, so I can point her to some of the better ones to get. So that we're in line with what most kiddos would be seeing. All right, thank you. Sorry to just interject there. I was excited for the possibilities. All right, moving on to, I skipped the town planners report again, didn't I?
Nope, that should be next.
Okay, town planners report.
Okay, good evening. This is the town planners report for June 2024. I'll highlight a few things. Under permits, we have issued a conditional zoning permit to the applicant of the Christ Community Church, so they can apply for their building permit at the county. In terms of development updates, Penny Mart will have their grand opening on this Wednesday at 10 a.m. All the zoning permits and sign permits have been issued and they're awaiting a new tenant building permit from the county, and that should be taken care of by Wednesday. Emmitsburg Distillery, they updated their improvement plan and that's been reviewed by the town. They have some more comments to address. Christ Community Church, I just mentioned, their zoning permit was issued and their improvement plan is under review. Mount St. Mary's East Wing improvements, that's under construction, and Emmett Ridge, they requested variance to reduce the setback requirements. for the development, and that variance was granted by the Board of Appeals in June. Stormwater management, we're coordinating with the Daughters of Charity and Streamlink to do some planting on Daughters of Charity's property. The land survey is actually done. We're working on the deed of easement. Planning Commission, as mentioned earlier, they're meeting on July 29th. And the agenda items are Christ Community Church Improvement Plan and the Comprehensive Plan. And the Comprehensive Plan, we've received a lot more responses to the surveys, and we're working to incorporate those to the comp plan, and we're working on the municipal growth element chapter. Under grants, it should say 25-2 instead of 24-2 for the first one. This is the fiscal year 2025 Community Legacy Grant to help fund the facade improvement program in Emmitsburg. The application has been submitted. There's just that resolution that's pending, and that's on the agenda for tonight. And for fiscal year 24, there's some funds left to disperse, so we're accepting more applications until August 1st. Also actively managing the DNR grant that's funding the maintenance of the Saddle Hill Basin retrofit. And I think those are all I got.
Thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments? I have one quick question. Regarding the coordination of the tree planting for Daughters of Charity. That goes along with, I guess, agenda item number 1, which we're postponing because the deed is not ready, correct? It's the same,
That is correct.
same thing. Okay. My question is, how does the decision of the town placing the trees, will it affect or cement in place the bypass or connector road if and when that does go through in the future?
So basically, we're trying to make sure that there is some flexibility in the future for a developer to put a road and replace any plants that's there. So that's why the deed is taking a little bit of time, just figuring out that language that can be enforceable in the future.
Mhm. So you're looking for something that's more flexible versus
Yeah, that's correct.
like you're locked into
Mm.
one location.
Right.
Okay. Go ahead.
Can I follow up on it then? So if we're planting trees at some point, one of the Daughters of Charity, and development comes sooner than expected, I guess you'd say, because I think it's a 25-year, for the
Right.
trees, it's 25 years. So if someone happened prior to that, you're saying we can take them trees out if need to be?
They can be taken out, but they would have to be
Had to be put,
replaced.
had to
Yeah.
be,
Yeah.
reforestation had to be done,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
So that's an allowable option.
That's what we're trying to put in the deed so it can be enforced in the future. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what's taking so long, is to make sure that this easement's done to protect the future of the possible road the connector road. And that's why it's taking a little bit longer. So the language is going to have some flexibility in it that would allow relocation of the trees so that we continue to meet our MS4 permit with the tree plantings, but also don't, mess up things for the future of the possible road.
okay.
Good.
That makes more sense because thank you for explaining.
Is the property owners particularly where they want the trees, or they don't care?
The Daughters of
It's a-
Charity, they're in favor of, having a road, or they're the ones who suggested that we put that.
So they want both. They want the
They want
trees in
both,
there.
yeah,
They want
yeah.
trees in.
Yeah, they increase in
I
road.
mean, it may be easier than just if all the trees came as far north on their property, the likelihood of having to remove them would probably be slimmer.
Yeah.
Probably. Hindsight's 2020.
Thank you for
Thank
the,
you.
thank you for the clarification. Good points, Commissioner Hoover. Okay, any other comments? Nope. Okay. So as you can see, we have our parking enforcement report listed. We don't usually stop to discuss unless commissioners, you have any. Nope. Okay, moving on. To commissioner comments. There's only a few of us here tonight, so starting with Commissioner O'Donnell.
All right, well, I'll start. Thank you. Maryland Municipal League every year has a convention every summer. It's a substantial investment by the town for the commissioners to attend. And I was one of the attendees this year. The format is basically we go to coursework, and in the coursework, we learn best practices and what other municipalities are doing and where they've had successes and where they've had failures. We're also given an opportunity to sit with the cabinet secretaries of the governor and advocate for our community and follow up on existing projects and talk about piloting programs. And it's a very, very, very useful event, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to have been able to go. Bringing back some things from Maryland Municipal League's event. I have been able to identify some grant funding. There are intern programs from the University of Maryland and the University of Baltimore where interns can bolster our staff, but at the same time, we do not pay them. They're paid by the university, from University of Baltimore and UMD. And what that means is we're paying for their education, but it's through their experience as opposed to out of pocket. University of Baltimore's program is a little bit older. University of Maryland is very eager, and they are just starting out of the box. Coming up, some items, let's see. Well, I'll back up. In the past period of time, I've been able to visit Harrisonburg, Virginia, Carrboro, North Carolina, Davidson, North Carolina, and Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And you might gather the thread that combines them is, yes, they're south of us, but also they're college towns. And what I've observed there is how they manage their workforce housing, the ability to have housing in their communities that is new, but also is affordable for folks who have a steady income and have the opportunity to work at these institutions, because they do employ a large number of people. That's something we need to be mindful of as we look at our plan, because we do know the university is intending to expand, and this is something that's beneficial mutually. So I think that workforce housing thing has more weight there. In addition to that, we know that the housing shortage in the state of Maryland is rather profound, and the elephant, as we know, is marching our way for development. So we have to be mindful of what kind of development we want to see regarding housing. So these were things that kind of floated up with the Maryland Municipal League and with this recent travel I've done. Moving from there, the Fred Rock Disc Golf folks have built this wonderful disc golf course, and the Maryland Senior Olympics has recognized the quality of their course, and Fred Rock has recommended that the Senior Olympics does its inaugural tournament here, and it will occur this coming weekend. So you should see a bunch of people over 55 throwing discs around out in the park, which is a really good thing, because I don't know if it brings, heads to beds over at the Sleep Inn, but it does encourage spending in our community. So you're going to see some folks from out of town who are, say, freeform folks. How about that? Not quite Grateful Dead, but we'll see where that shakes out. I was advised of a new grant. This came to me today. It's called a RERC grant. How about that? It's from the EPA. It's a Recreation Economy for Rural Communities grant. And its premise is to link main streets to recreation programs, such as Community Park and Memorial Park, to Main Street and other things like the trails. Moving from there, I am a bad commissioner. I have not given my survey in about my lead line, but I will tell you soon what it is. I'm confident it's not lead line. And beyond that, that concludes my comments. So thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hoover.
I'll follow up here with Commissioner O'Donnell on the same thing about Maryland Municipal League, the annual convention. Attending that. I mean, I've gone to it in the past. I think it's always a great event. So they have the multiple different sessions, classes, whatever you want to call them. But attending the municipal budgeting classes is always good. Actually, it's taught by one of formerly Hagerstown budget manager there, and he's been doing it for the last 20 some odd years. Also went to a grants program class there. So bring some documents back, and I'll bring them to the town office later this week, and attend meetings for the Open Meetings Act or sessions for that, as well as going to the roundtable session with all the cabinet secretaries, or many of them. So meet with MDE secretary, MDOT, and DNR to talk about different things that could possibly come our way. And then also meeting around with different vendors that provide services, vendors that we already have here, and some that would like to be here, And then just the opportunity to also network with other municipalities and large and small around us and maybe further away, but what they do and how they do it and what works better, what doesn't work so well. And so I think it's a great opportunity to go there and see the different people and take the different classes and bring it back to hopefully to work for us here at home. Thank you.
Thank you. I just have a few. I just want to congratulate everyone who was involved in making yet another successful Heritage Day. Thank you to all the sponsors, groups, volunteers, and organizations, as well as town staff that made it possible. And we still managed to get our fireworks off, even though we had a little bit of a storm, but it didn't keep us down. Also, I noticed that the drainage projects in the park, as well as Cedar Avenue and South Seaton are complete, and they both look really nice. Now, if we could only get some rain so we could really test them out, would be nice. And also I want to follow up with Mayor Davis when he mentioned at our last meeting about the FCPS increased sports fees. I know there was going back and forth with the Board of Ed as far as where that sports fee was going to land. But I did want to make the community aware that for families who would like their students to participate or their children to participate in sports and may find themselves unable to do so because of increased fees, there is a waiver that they can apply for through FCPS that is not utilized nearly enough. So I wanted to take the opportunity to let you know that please talk with your child's athletic director or coach at your local school if there is an interest in applying for a waiver to offset some of these fees. Also, don't forget about pre-K enrollment over at Emmitsburg Elementary. It's really imperative we keep our enrollment up to keep the program. And I did see an announcement from Thurmont Childcare that they are now offering childcare at Thurmont Primary School. They did mention Thurmont Elementary and Emmitsburg Elementary, but I'm not sure if it's on site or how that works. But they did say for those 3 schools this year, they're looking at offering before and after school care, also care on school closure days and summer camps, and enrollment is now open. So if your family is looking for a way to keep your kiddos safe before and after school, there's now an option that's available. Also, our farmers market is every Friday, 3 to 7. The heat's been terrible for our market this year. There has been some inquiries from our community about additional vendors and advertising, and I know that it is a work in progress, and we hope to continue to hammer out to increase attendance and encourage our vendors to actually show up when they sign up. And there was one last little comment that I heard Ms. Willits was, somebody mentioned that they noticed a dramatic increase in the number of dead mice around Eugene Myers Park. And whether what's attributing to those dead mice, I don't know, but the individuals are alarmed by the number they were seeing along the walking path and didn't know if that had anything to do with agricultural sprays or to feral cats in the area, but they wanted to just bring up the dead mice in case they're poisoned and an owl eats one and then the owl dies, or my dog eats one. I don't know. There are mice there. Thank you. Moving on to mayor's comments.
All right, good evening, everyone. Wednesday, along with the ribbon cutting at Penny Mart, we will also be doing a ribbon cutting for Gettysburg Smoothie Company, which is right next door. So what's more exciting than having one business open, but having 2 open in downtown, the downtown section. So anyone that would like to attend that, 10 o'clock on Wednesday morning. Friday night, we have our second pool party. Our last one was very well attended, and I'll be there handing out hot dogs. If anybody would like to help me, that'd be great. And Andrew did a great job on his first one last month. So it's not a bad thing to do, to hand out hot dogs at the swimming pool. It's pretty good. So Heritage Days, just want to echo Commissioner Bowman Pollitt's comments. It was great. The crowds were up, I think, on every event. Commissioner Sweeney, he is at a planning meeting for that right now. The town wants to get more involved with that. They're trying to get more organizations involved to take some of the pressure off of the Lions Club. And I think that will really increase attendance if we can do that. So, but it was very, very well attended. I even had time to stop in for a nice cold beer at the beer garden. I'd never done that before. So that was good. Let's see, our sports fees that you talked about. I've still been in contact with the principal at Catoctin High, and she assured me that there would be no student left out of sports. But we did have a further conversation. She said the other thing that's affecting some of the students is the cost of equipment. That a lot of the sports, they don't provide the equipment anymore. So if you have like your lacrosse and things like that, they have to buy their own sticks and spikes, and it's very costly to the students. So what we're planning on doing probably in the fall is holding a community fundraiser of some sort. Haven't came up with that yet, Brandy. Oh, sorry. Just that kind of slipped out. To help the boosters, the Catoctin boosters, to up their treasury to help offset the cost of some of the equipment for the students. So we haven't lost track of that. MML conference, all the commissioners are there except for Commissioner Bowman Pollitt, and she couldn't make because of family issues that she's been dealing with forever. But we had a great conference. Mayor O'Connor of Frederick is the new president of the state MML. He's a really good guy. He's been helping me get through these first 6 or 8 months. He's always available for phone calls and has given me some good advice. So that's kind of exciting that a mayor here in Frederick County is the president of that. And along with that, on August 28th, we will be hosting the quarterly meeting of the Frederick County mayors along with the county executive. We move from town to town, and we have the one in August. So I'll give you all more details on that, and if you can attend, that would be great. And I just got notified that we did get a $10,000 grant award for the new Welcome to Emmitsburg signs. So the signs that have been much need to be replaced, we did get a grant for that. So that process will take off here soon. So, yeah, so that's all I got. Sorry for taking so long, but there's a lot of good stuff.
Thank you, Mayor. Now we're moving on to public comments. Please remember, for public comment, you do have 4 minutes, and when you come up, if you could turn on the microphone so that the red light is on, state your name and the city and town you live in. You do not need to say your address, just as if you're a resident of Emmitsburg in town or not. And then just be cognizant of the time you have in front of you. So we are starting off with Mr. Sloan.
Hello, Sloan. I live here in town. The question is what is the ETA to get all the sewers lined? Because people ask about that, and it's like, I don't know, call the town office, and they look at me like, who knows what. But do we have an idea of the actual span of time it's going to take before we get them all lined? Because we might have to fight Thermont because they're doing it too. There's only so many contractors that'll do it. And the other question is, who's responsible to take care of the silt under the bridges and in the 20 to 50 feet that lead up to them on each side? Because that's part of the problem too. That people point, go, that's all water, and it's like, not up to me. I don't do that anymore. There's a couple of good questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sloan. Moving on to Mr. Simmel. Oh. Okay.
Paving bids.
Should I wait for paving biz to have them come? Okay.
That's fine.
All right. Thank you for letting me know. And Miss Deb Spurrier, hi. Come on up.
Hi, I'm Deb Spurrier. I am the new branch administrator at the I'm the interim at Thermont. I am the new real branch manager at the Emmitsburg Library. It is the first time in quite a few years that the Emmitsburg Library has had a dedicated branch administrator, but the library recognizes that this community is growing by leaps and bounds. And so they have decided to put a 40-hour person here, one floor down. So please come down there and visit us. We are looking at different ways that we can connect with not only the community, but what the town is doing. So for example, Tim's come to visit and shared some town events going on, and we're hosting our first Disc Golf 101 in celebration of the Senior Olympics coming this weekend. So we'll have kids out in the yard on Thursday, passing around frisbees and getting that experience. So I invite each of you to come out and get a library card. It's the most powerful card in your wallet, and it saves you the most amount of money. We have DVDs, movies, books, and beyond. And we also lend out hotspots at no cost. So if you are in a technology desert and you don't have Wi-Fi, we can offer that for you as well. So thank you for letting me speak tonight.
Thank you, Deb. And I think the library partnered with the community garden with Mr. Deathridge as well. So thank you for doing that and including the community.
I'd like to get a library card, but I'm afraid I probably have some late fees from back in the 70s.
You have no fees. It's been wiped out. You are all clean and you'll never owe anything as long as you bring it back.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. That concludes public comments. Okay, moving on to administrative business. We have none, so that makes it easy. Same thing with consent agenda. We have none. So from there, we're going on to the treasurer's report, which normally would be Commissioner Turnquist, but I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Willetts. Thank you.
So this is the cash activity report as of June 30th of 2024. At the beginning of the month on June 1st, we had a balance of $10,243,121. We had deposits roughly in the amount of 211,000 and withdrawals roughly in the amount of 322,000. The operating balance forward as of June 30th, 2024 was $10,132,237. Listed below that are the top 10 checks for the month of June. The fund breakdown is as of June 30th of 2024 as well. For the general fund, there's roughly $1,740,000. The capital projects or Fund 2 is $931,000. Your water fund has a balance of $287,468. There's $2.8 million left in the ARPA funds. And for sewer, there's $4,343,590, with the trial balance being $10,105,721.
Thank you. Questions? Yes, Commissioner O'Donnell.
One easy one, I hope. TFJ Excavating, is this program up at Rainbow Lake related to the valve replacement? Is that correct? Or is this something
TJF
separate?
Excavating, the pipe installation
TFJ,
was to the rear of Community Park for the drainage issue. And then the Rainbow Lake brush is related to the MDE inspection report for the dam.
Okay, so that's not related to the valve replacement then, not yet?
No.
No, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Donnell. All right, moving on from there, we are going to our Planning Commission report, which usually was done by Commissioner Turnquist.
There was no planning commission meeting in June, so.
Thank you. That makes it quick. Okay, moving on. Going on to our first agenda item, which was for consideration approval of the 25-year revertible forest conservation deed of easement with the Daughters of Charity and authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the town. We did touch on this a little bit already. Staff is recommending postponing the agenda item because the document, the deed, is not yet complete. So we're going to take that recommendation and, I'm sorry, did I say the wrong word?
Nope.
Okay,
I was just gonna tell you that it's looking to come back in September. Initially, I thought August, but we're gonna just to be safe, September.
okay, thank you. Back in September.
And you do have to vote to postpone it.
Is there a motion to postpone the approval of the 25-year revertible forest conservation deed of easement with the Daughters of Charity?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3, 2, and as well as 2 absent. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 2, discussion related to impact fees and water sewer connection fees. This was something that we had talked about previously with the water sewer or the water rate discussion as far as do we need to come back and look at our impact fees and our water sewer connection fees. They haven't been updated in a while. So we did ask to start that discussion with no decisions being made tonight. And of course, it might be a fairly quick discussion since we have a few commissioners that are currently not here. Ms. Willetts, did you want to?
Sure, I can so what I did, just to highlight on page 32, I took the sections of code that relate to your water service and connection fees, as well as your service or your sewer ones, as well as your impact fees. 13.04.040 addresses your water connection capacity charges. And right now, your fee is $8,200 per residential unit. For 13.08.090, which is your sewer, your fee is $8,000 per residential unit. And then 3.08.010, all new residential dwellings are assessed $1,200 for impact fees. And just a note, all impact fees are committed to your general fund CIP, which is your Fund 2. $200 from each impact fee is committed to the purchase, installing, and upgrading of the local emergency warning system. Again, your impact fees can only be used for acquisition, development, rehabilitation of municipal roads, sidewalks, street lights, and corresponding electric service, park, and recreational areas. On page 33, I reached out to, we've been working fairly closely with Maryland Rural Water regarding the water rate increases. So I reached out to them to get a feel from what their thought process was on where we were with our connection fees related to water and sewer. On page 34, they do a quick breakdown of nearby municipalities of what their water fees and what their sewer fees are. As you can see, under water fees, Emmitsburg at 8,200 is slightly higher than Thurmont at 7,555. And then the sewer fees at 8,000 is roughly comparable to everybody but Smithsburg at 10,200.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And I see that you also included the meeting minutes from June of 2021, which was
Right.
the last time that this came up before the board. And I believe no decision was made. It just ended as we will think about it for a later date.
Correct. So that was during COVID. So
Yep.
it was a virtual town meeting. We had contracted with, and I put it in, it's Tischler Buys, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, to do an impact fee and park and rec fee in lieu study presentation. And basically their recommendation was to recommend increasing the fee from $1,200 per dwelling unit to $3,898 per single family dwelling unit and $2,069 per multifamily dwelling unit. That was a recommendation, but as you mentioned, there was no decision made. I believe I gave everybody a copy of the impact study and is also on our website if anybody wanted to take a look at it.
Thank you. I think that was really important to see where we left off as of a few years ago. And of course, since then, we have the COVID fallout with inflation as well. Commissioners, I turn to you. for thoughts as far as the numbers that you see before you.
I'll go.
Hmm?
So, I agree, the impact fee, now I haven't looked much of that at all. That's been the same fee for the last 15 plus years. That has not changed, and those numbers came, quite honestly, just came kind of from the air. They're a little bit harder to calculate and come down to a more definite, I don't know, honest number, I guess you'd say, based on, the impact of new development, what it'll bring to, as you said earlier, the park and recs, the sidewalks, the roads and things of that nature. That's a harder number to establish, create and whatever. And I've not gone through this whole impact study fee here at all, but mostly my thing was, I think we needed to look more at the sewer and the water. So the impact, when I'll leave it alone. If these folks have come up with a true honest to goodness plan, then maybe that's where we're looking at for impact. But for me, we can come back to that. The sewer and water fees, tap fees that the town is charging currently now, the only change has been it's gone down some over the last several years. The concern I have of that is just that while they compare us, who was it here? Rural Water Association, while they compare it, and many others have compared it, our rates compared to other
Municipalities.
thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll get it out here in a minute. But so while Smithsburg and Emmitsburg are pretty equal in size, Town and Thurmont are just slightly more than double of our size, and Frederick is quite much larger than ours. I don't know if that helps them with the size and volume to bring down the cost, but
I'm sorry, in the back, if you could please silence your cell phone, Mr. Sloan. Mr. Sloan, if you could please silence your cell phone, thank you. I appreciate it. Can you continue, Commissioner Hoover?
So, I mean, for me, the sewer and water, I mean, it's more about what does it cost us versus what does it cost somebody else? And our cost to establish rates, our cost to maintain equipment is not going to be the same of another municipality, regardless of their size, even if they compare to us in size, or they're much larger or much smaller. We have a couple of large users here that these other municipalities don't have. I'm sure Frederick City does, but the other ones don't have, things like with the fire academy, while they're down some, I think they're still down some post-COVID, but I'm not sure they're back up to 100% yet or not. And while we have Daughters of Charity also, while each of them get millions of gallons a quarter, we have to have equipment to provide for that. And we've had difficulties in drilling wells over the years and getting suitable water and suitable wells that makes it worth using a well, which is why we still have a reservoir. And the reservoir, as we talked about earlier, with the wild water from the sewer and the reservoir in the backwash, was kind of part of my reason I asked that question is we have some burdens that other municipalities may or may not have. So I'm not quite sure exactly what the cost is to build another sewer water plant, but I think the current sewer plant, because it's fairly new, is about $30 million, if I remember right. Does that sound about right?
The current sewer plant, I think it ended up being 19.1 million when it was all said and done. But
Okay.
that was in 2015, so the cost to replace it is probably $30 million.
Right, and I forget how many taps that is, but it's a several amount of taps. But I mean, to me, we take that number, whatever it costs to build it, divided by the number of taps it provides, and there's our number, what a tap fee would cost us, plus some CPI inflation or whatever, we add on that in the water plant. A few years, well, many years back, 20 years or so ago, when we done some upgrades to the water plant. I remember that was probably, I don't know, a few $1 million back then. And today, I don't know what a new water plant or what increase of the water plant would cost, but the same way, well, whatever that increase of that plant would be and what it would cost to change that, increase that plant, divide that by the number of taps, and that's going to be our fee. And so more apples to apples, and I think comparing it to another municipality that has a suitable size or comparable size town or because it's nearby. So I just think we ought to kind of figure out, what would it cost to add taps, and that'd be the true number, and what a tap cost us. But the sewer plant, I think, is about 300, or the water plant, sorry, is about 300 couple of taps and the sewers probably triple that, somewhere around there. So, but, that's just who we are. I mean, the wild waters, we shouldn't have it. As mentioned here a few minutes ago about relining our pipes, but we do have it, and we've had it for the last 40 years, and we're probably going to have it another 20 years or more. Like, like it or not, it's here to stay for a while. So I mean, that's just my way of thinking of how we should kind of find a way to what it really truly costs us, and then put that out to the proper tap fees. So I know some other towns they do theirs different, where they do a connection fee plus a tap fee. And I think these numbers, as I've read through, the numbers we see in this chart, it is those combined. if they're
Right, some of
separate.
them, like I broke it down on the page the paper that I gave you.
Yep.
Some have a connection plus an impact, some have a connection plus what they call a benefit assessment.
Right,
So they add on to the actual connection
right.
fee,
And ours is just one lump sum that covers them both. So,
correct?
but again, that's just, I just don't want us to be, the town be subsidizing development. If the developer wants to develop, that's great. And we need some development, mostly need some commercial development, but neither here nor there. It can't be at the expense of the existing residents and business of that nature. So we just got to make sure that we're getting a sufficient amount of fees for what it's costing us to run and operate our plants, most accurately for what it costs to increase capacity, not necessarily operating cost. So that's my 2 cents for now.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Hoover. Commissioner O'Donnell?
Sure. Pretty much aligned with Commissioner Hoover. In reading the Maryland Rural Water Association remarks, the last paragraph on the front page, 33 of 52, the response we get, as I understand, Emmitsburg has adequate capacity for both water and sewer, which we've invested in very heavily. After taking everything into account, I feel that the current tap fees for water and sewer are sufficient for today's needs. So I think that kind of sort of alludes to the fact that as we move forward, we're going to have to modify those. I think, we're going to have to increase those, quite frankly.
Well, I agree, because we're not trying to worry about today's needs. We're trying about the future's needs.
Correct. And that's what this is
my point.
saying, sort of like inferentially, or we're inferring rather. On the other side, I would strongly suggest this impact fee study, as it provides a pretty good formula for impact fees, and it really gets very analytical in how they determine them. And I think it'll give you good nighttime reading because it's pretty dry. But the other side is it actually gives us a fairly useful formula, but it is a little bit stale now that it's 2024 and we're moving toward 2025. And this was created in 2021, though very efficiently. So I think from what I'm seeing, the professional recommendation from consultants is that our tap fees will need to be increased and our impact fees will need to be increased. I think, just putting it in blunt terms. I don't think we have to foist everything onto developers, but I think it's appropriate that we all pay our fair share. And I'll leave it at that. So that concludes my comments on this.
Thank you. As far as I did read through that packet, it was very dry. You're right. And there's lots of different ways apparently to look at how do we come up with an impact fee. I would like to see it increase. Ours is very low. And I think that could be something easily put in place before we have another major development come in. But I do agree with the idea that we need to increase our tap fees. And the one thing that I did notice from the letter is when he's saying, I know that I'm comparing apples to oranges from Maryland Rural Water Association. Yeah, like we definitely have some needs in our little tiny town of Emmitsburg that a lot of our surrounding towns do not have, which is part of the reason why we're struggling with water anyway. It's because we have these big, unique needs, and how can we grow, and how can we continue to to provide what we need. So looking at that, I would like to see us take a look at how we can update that accordingly. What that looks like, I'm not sure. I'm not so concerned where we fall in line with the other towns. Because like I said, it's really hard to compare based on population and needs and how our water systems and sewer systems are set up. I do think our impact fees are really low compared to surrounding areas. And if their recommendation back in 2021 was to increase, I mean, more than triple was the recommendation, that's something that we need to take a look at. So it sounds like Commissioner O'Donnell and Commissioner Hoover, that all three of us are looking for some kind of tweaking on the fees to go up. So obviously this is just the discussion. We're not going to come to any decisions tonight. How would you like to proceed from here? Would you like to move it into a workshop? Would you, yes?
A workshop would be useful because that way we can have the discourse. I mean, we could do it through a board meeting, but I think if we identify it as a workshop, it'll be, there's a different advertisement requirement, and also there's the opportunity for more participation from the community.
Sure.
Sometimes people don't like going to meetings. Don't know why.
And I think that would be a good one to have as a singular topic, would be my recommendation. Unless we anticipate it being quicker than like an hour.
Dream on.
Yeah, right. Okay, dream on. All right, so I don't know if we need that as a motion. At this point, it looks like we just want to,
Yeah, you can't.
we can't vote. It's just discussion. So we can look at adding a workshop in a future month to discuss it further. But Ms. Willetts, I do want to thank you for the information that you provided on the impact fees and the water and sewer fees, because as I was reading through the packet, I was like, oh, I wish I had, and I turned the page and there it was. So I appreciate that. It made us, gave us a snapshot very clearly. And I think if there's no further discussion, we're good to move on. Good, okay. All right. Okay, hang on, let me get there. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 3, for discussion and consideration, approval of ordinance 2024-06, amend Emmitsburg Town Code 2.28.030, vote count. And if you look, commissioners, at the printout from what the current ordinance says about how we determine counting of votes during the election time, that section D is what's being added. It's in bold. And it states, whenever there is a commissioner's seat to be filled for just 1 year, that seat will go to the candidate with the lowest ballot count, provided there are other seats open on the ballot. So that's the part that was added. Doesn't look like anything else was striked through. Of course, this is something that we faced this past year, and we're looking at potentially other years to be proactive. Is it possible that we broaden that language from to be filled for just 1 year to remainder of the term? So just in case we end up in a situation where there's more than a year.
They can't. It has to be to fill, well. So this was written by the town attorney, so that would have to be a question for them. Whenever there's an emergency before just 1 year. I think it's very specific to that case, like, so.
So anytime.
Did you just have 1 year left? You had 2 years left on your term when you got reelected?
2?
You just had 2. So that would always be the case.
No, It could be one or two.
Well, yeah, one or two. So you'd only have one term left. So way the code reads though, is that if he only has 1 year, you fill that term to the next. So then, so when you would, so say his term ran up and you were going to run for reelection, whomever, then that term would be 3 years. But
Correct.
correct. So it's only ever going to be one. Yes.
No,
Because there's a section in the code that addresses vacancies.
correct.
Right.
But the section in the code says that when an appointment is made, that person can, that the appointment can only be filled until the next general election,
Correct.
town election.
Right.
So the appointment, had there been well, in this case, there is 2 years. The next general election is whatever, September this year.
Mhm.
So this gives it a 1 year.
Right.
If, so let me think now I'm saying it out loud, I'm thinking
Mhm.
if he vacates,
Right.
no, if he'd have vacated his seat 6 months into it, only 6 months into the beginning of his first
Right,
term.
right.
Right. And so the appointment would have been for 6 months to the next general election
And then they would have ran for 2 years.
for the remainder of the term.
Right.
Correct.
That's
right.
why.
I think that's addressed somewhere else. But I know they're going to do tweaks to they're going to do another code adjustment to avoid what happened this past election term anyway. So. if that makes sense.
Well, I have another, okay. I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. I'm sorry.
Also, it says here that the candidate with the lowest ballot count provided, that there are other seats open on the ballot.
Right.
Well, the lowest ballot count would be if there are 5 people run for the 3 seats,
That's what I'm
the
wondering.
lowest ballot count would be number 5. Not number 3.
Oh,
Well, we never have that.
Yes, you do.
We have in the past. There's been
No.
elections.
Oh,
for
no.
Candidates.
So if 4 people run this year, there's 3 seats.
Right.
If 4 people run,
I see
the
what you're
fourth,
saying.
the fourth,
Okay.
the fourth
then I
ballot
need-
count
This
would be-
needs to
would
come
be
back
the-
next
would be the
month.
winner.
Correct.
This needs to come back next
some
month.
kind of runner up or something.
Yeah, I'll talk to Clark about this. Clark wrote it. So I will talk to him about that because that's right.
Okay.
That's correct.
I would suggest he watches the Olympics before he writes this, as it would be a competition. Is that too heavy-handed? I don't know. I don't mean
mean-
to be heavy-handed.
Is there a need to put in the event the runner up is tied? I mean, do we get that
There
granular?
is a runoff. There is a runoff.
There is-
I
that's
think we
in
have a
there.
runoff built in.
Okay.
Right.
There is a
But
runoff built in.
I think the issue is if there are multiple candidates that exceeds the number of seats that are available in that time frame, then you're going with the least popular candidate, or maybe even the least qualified candidate, perhaps. And as a result of that, I think there would be broad unhappiness in the community.
Right.
So,
We get the idea. It's just a.
Yeah, no, I didn't. Yeah, that's correct on that part. If there was 5 candidates that ran for 3 seats, you don't want the 5th candidate. Yes. Okay, we will go back to the drawing board and tweak it. It wasn't as easy to write this as we thought it was.
It looked really good upon first glance until, yeah.
I agree.
Thank
I
you.
agree.
Should we, is there a motion to table this to a future meeting?
We'll have to, this is for action. So we're just, yeah, so.
I mean, do I need to make it a motion to table it?
I don't, we could just.
send it
Yes,
to-
you do.
Send it back.
Do we?
yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
can we
you do.
just ask if staff has enough direction on this?
Has to be
No,
because
okay.
there's a motion.
All right, I make a motion to table this item. Let me get the number, please. Ordinance number 24-06. Sorry.
Mhm.
I make a motion to table the modifications to ordinance number 24-06 in order to allow town staff to further prepare modifications.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries with 3 voting yes and 2 who are not here. All right, moving on to number 4. For consideration, approval of resolution 2024-03R Community Legacy Grant Application and receipt of funding for facade improvement project. So this one,
Yes, I'll have Nigelia go over this one and then also the change.
okay. Nijilu.
Yeah, so this is a required component of the community legacy grant. And as you know, we apply for this every year, or have been doing so since 2013, except for this 1 year. So this is basically the commissioners endorsing this grant and providing permission to submit the application. And the one change that that needs to be made is under now, therefore be it resolved that it should say Emmitsburg Facade and Restoration Program instead of North Eden Avenue Improvements Project. It's the second to last paragraph on page 40.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So that you said Emmitsburg facade
And Restoration Program.
and restoration.
So the 75,000 is correct? Okay, so just that very last.
Mhm.
Okay. So that was just a typo. So I believe we go through this every year. We have to approve this. Is there a motion to approve resolution 2024-03R Community Legacy Grant Application and receipt of funding for the facade improvement project with the stated modification?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, all right, we'll flip for it.
I'll make a motion that we accept resolution 24-03R with the proposed modifications as stated for the legacy,
Emmitsburg facade.
legacy, what is it now?
community-
Facade and restoration program.
Second.
Thank you. I don't think we need further discussion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes with 3 voting yes and 2 who are not here. Noted for the record. Moving on for agenda item number 5 for consideration approval of resolution 2024-04R, release of maintenance bond for the pump station and water sewer extensions for the Rudder store. So, Ms. Willetts?
That's me. So this is a resolution essentially, as you mentioned, to release the bond that was posted for the construction of the Rudder store. The bond that was collected by the town was $1,739,950 plus a 15% contingency in the amount of $2,942.50. On February 5th, 2024, the Board of Commissioners dedicated the dedication of the Rudders Pump Station. The contractor completed the improvements, which is on attached A, which is on the page, on the following pages, page 46. On August 9th, Fox and Associates, who was Rudder's engineer, inspected and approved all the improvements. And then on September 18th, 2023, Maryland Department of Environment found the work to be in conformance with the plans as described in the certification that was attached. On page, like I said, 45 is the request from Rudders to release the bond. Page 46, Exhibit A was all the cost of the improvements. And then page 47 is the sign off from MDE. So the resolution is just approving the release of the bond.
Thank you, Ms. Willetts. Do I hear a motion to approve resolution 2024-04R, release of maintenance bond for pump station and water sewer extensions for the Rudder store?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Donnell. Any further discussion?
One item for staff. All documentation seems to be in place and in order. Is there any risk or any encumbrance that we would anticipate that would cause us to not release this?
No.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Motion passes with 3 commissioners voting yes and 2 who are not here for the record. Okay, agenda item number 6 for consideration approval of paving bid for Timber Mill Run, West Main Street to Brookfield Drive. Mr. Simmel, is this at the point that you wanted to come forward and? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right, thank you.
Well, no sin.
So Ms. Willetts, just for Timber Mill Run and Silo Hill, which are reflected as two different agenda items.
Correct.
These were the roads that we identified already as part of the budget that was passed.
Yes, they were actually approved during your budget transfer on May 6th,
Sure.
from monies left over from fiscal year 23.
Okay.
For both bids, the RFP was published by the town on May 14th of 2024. The deadlines were due June 4th of 2024 by 4 p.m. The bids were opened on June 6th at 9 a.m. by myself, Jim Click, and Chris Wance. The RFPs were advertised under the RFP tab on our website. They were also published on the eMaryland Marketplace, then on the town's Facebook page. Funds were previously committed in Fund 2 for this project, so the money's already there. On page 49, you'll see the bid tabulation sheet. We received 10 bids for both projects. We'll take the first agenda item, which would be Timber Mill Run. As you mentioned, it's West Main Street to Brookfield Drive. The low bidder was Thermont Paving LLC at $99,500. You can see that on page 49.
I'm sorry, we can't take comments from the,
Yes, again, this is just for Timber Mill Run.
yes, this is, yeah, agenda item number 7 will address the
Correct.
second one. Yes. Commissioners, comments, questions? Commissioner Hoover?
For this agenda item, Timber Mill, Thermont Paving obviously is the low bidder, is the parent low bidder. I'm not sure if anybody else reviewed the bids or anything. That bid is much lower than anybody else.
Yes.
Very much, a lot, you know, are we certain that contract?
We have had
Can be-
we've used them before and have been
No,
pleased with their work.
I agree with that.
Yes.
I don't disagree with that. It's just that their dollar amount
Yes.
is substantially lower. I just want to make sure they understand the bid the way it appears everybody else may have understood that bid.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Just to comment on the need for it. Timber Mill Run has been a source of much conversation related to a variety of topics related to the paving directly. I'm glad to see it's moving forward. I know a lot of people will be happy. I'm sure staff has some mode of informing and advising people on Timber Mill Run and in the community that the shutdown's coming at some point in time. Is there a proposed timeline as to when the work begins and is completed? Do we have that?
No,
No. Okay.
no. We were waiting for the bids to be awarded, then Mr. Click will reach out and then schedule the work.
Terrific. Okay. Thank you. No more questions.
Any additional discussion? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve the paving bid for Timber Mill Run?
I make a motion to accept the paving bid, the bid proposal from Thermont Paving Limited Liability Corporation in the sum of $99,500 for the paving of Timber Mill Run.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Donnell. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoover. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, 3 yes and 2 who are not here for the record. Moving on to agenda item number 7, which we touched on a little bit already. For consideration, approval of the paving bid for Silo Hill Road, which will go from the first entrance to Robin Hill Drive to the dead end at the park. Ms. Willis, did you have anything to add for this section that you didn't really,
No,
kinda
that's
coupled
it's the
together.
same advertising, same requirements. And so then you'll see on page 51 is the bid tabulation. Again, there were 10 bids received for the Silo Hill Road. And again, Thermont Paving LLC was the apparent low bidder at $56,800.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners?
Just an item, before we vote, no, I'll hold off, never mind.
Okay.
Oh.
Is there a motion to approve Thermont Paving LLC for the bid for Silo Hill paving in the amount of $56,800?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoover. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion or questions at this time?
No, ma'am.
Nope. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes, 3 in favor and 2 who are not here to note for the record.
May I excuse myself for 1 minute? I left my future agenda items on my desk.
Yes,
I will be right back.
please stay tuned. Thank you very much. Insert Jeopardy theme here. Please stand by. And we're so far apart now with Commissioner Hoover stepping out. I should have called for a recess, huh? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Ms. Willetts, we are looking at setting the agenda for August 3rd. Isn't it August 3rd? It says August 3rd.
Yeah, that sounds right. No,
It's 5th.
5th.
Oh.
Sorry.
well,
Did I have it?
Well, the packet, okay. Just reading what's in my packet. Next time I will look. All right, August 5th. That is a Monday, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
All right.
For the, nothing for the administrative business. For the consent agenda, just one item, proclamation making August 6th, 2024 National Night Out for consideration. And then I have 5 agenda items. One would be the approval of the 2024 election judges for consideration. Number 2, approval of ordinance 24-07, amending town code 16.20.020, minimum requirements for fire hydrants for consideration. Number 3, approval of cooperation agreement with the Frederick County Community Development Block Grant for consideration. Number 4, approval of resolution 2024-05R, approval of cooperation agreement with Frederick County Development Block Grant for consideration. And number 5 would be for, or approval of ordinance 24-06, amend Emmitsburg Town Code 2.28.030, vote count for consideration. That's what I have.
Okay, commissioners, are there any other items you would like to see on the agenda coming up? No?
Not at this time. no.
All right, thank you. Is there a motion to accept the agenda for August 5th?
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Donnell. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoover. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3 in favor and 2 who are not in attendance. At this time, did we also want to set a date for the water, sewer, and potential impact fee workshop that we said that we were going to do, or should we? I don't know exactly when that is. We want that to be in our lineup, but I did want to follow up with a potential 1-hour workshop for Mr. Gary Castile's Civil War Memorial proposal for Emmitsburg, so that the commissioners had dedicated time to go in depth with his proposal to see if it is a fit for Emmitsburg and what it entails exactly for the town or not. I think we had a nice little overview of 15 minutes, but we didn't have a dedicated time to really get into the weeds. So it really didn't leave us much to go off of. I would not like it to go further than 1 hour, however. Should we set those dates now? Commissioners?
My thought would be maybe talking to staff to make sure staff would be appropriately prepared, and then set a date based on
Okay, for which one?
for both.
Both? Okay. Should we can discuss workshop dates at a later time? All right. Instead of, yeah, it's a little packed. Wait, I go back to 15th, which is, when is that? I don't-
That's Thursday, the 15th. That's
And then they come back, kids come back
probably on the 19th.
on Wednesday?
Oh, they give you a week.
Is it? No,
So-
5 days, 4 days? I really don't know.
Thursday is the 15th, 16th is Friday. Yeah, the 17th, 18th for the week. Tell you what.
Because I just didn't think they'd want to
Wanna
come
look
in
at
for a
this?
town meeting.
Truly.
Stay
and
back.
this
Yeah.
would help.
Absolutely nice, but you know.
Oh, yeah, I think students come back August 21st, which is a Wednesday. Yes, thank you.
I mean, you can always decide your workshop date at the next meeting, the 5th, which is just.
Just around the corner.
Yeah.
That would be a better time. because
That's
then
good.
The other two will be here.
Okay, that works.
Sure.
And then we
People
can
are fair.
touch base ahead of time.
We're gonna pick their dates, they're gonna be here.
True.
That's a good point. All right, thank you. We'll postpone the picking of the workshop dates until later. At this time or at the end of the agenda, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I like it. No. So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Donnell. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hoover. Any further discussion? I'm assuming no. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries with 3 in favor, 2 who are not here for the record, and we end the meeting at 8:23 PM. Thank you very much. Another record meeting.